This radio program is PG-13. Parents strongly caution some material may be inappropriate for children under the age of 13.
The following program is sponsored by Michael W. Smith. The views expressed on the following program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership.
Phoenix, Arizona, this is Brother Mike. I'm back on the radio, HardcoreChristianity.com. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to the program, today's Bible study, The Gay Gospel, Spreading Like Wildfire. Will you call somebody and tell them the radio program's on? It's time for my announcements. This is Brother Mike. I'm the professional counselor at the Arizona Deliverance Center. We're downtown on 15th Avenue, just south of Osborne Road. It's the red brick building. HardcoreChristianity.com illustrates all of our ministry services. We have several of them. For example, we have free counseling services for born-again Christians. If you have a need for counseling and you need to see somebody and you don't have any money, no problemo. 602-636-5800. Send me an email, mike@hardcorechristianity.com. Please remember our Zoom services every week. Monday night, 6:30 for the ladies. Wednesday night, 6 p.m. for everybody. Send me an email, mike@hardcorechristianity.com. Give me a call, 602-636-5800. I will get you the code and the password for those services. We have 2 live services every week, Thursday and Friday nights at 7 o'clock. We have a special healing service coming up on the last Saturday of June, and our July 13th Children's Deliverance Service is ready to go. July 13th at 10 a.m. Saturday at the Arizona Deliverance Center. Please remember my podcast every Sunday morning at 9 o'clock on twitch.tv. If you send me an email, mike@hardcorechristianity.com, I'll send you all the information for all of our ministry services. Years ago, there were only like 1 or 2 gay gospel singers. Nowadays, they're everywhere. They're everywhere now. And professional gospel singers have now been completely infected with demons. They are promoting transgenderism and homosexuality all over the place. And these people are supposed to be born-again Christians. If the person was a born-again Christian, they would have read this verse, Romans chapter 1, starting at verse 26. For this cause God gave them up to vile affections. Greek word for gave them up there is paradidomi. It means to surrender. God completely surrendered them to vile affections. The Greek phrase there is atomia pathos. It means disgraceful passions. It says, even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. Greek word physikos, physical use. The natural physical use. Women changed it. And it says, likewise, the men also left the natural use of the woman, physikos, the physical use of the woman. They burned in lust toward each other, one another. Orexis is the Greek word for lust there. It means to be excited in your mind over lustful, perverted things. It says, men, working with men, that which is unseemly. Askimosune is the Greek word that means morally indecent. And they received in themselves recompense for their error, which was appropriate. The Greek word for error there was plane. Plane is a delusion. That's what it is. It's a delusion. Being gay is a delusion. Being trans is a delusion. Being a lesbian is a delusion. It's not real. It's not real. It's a delusion. How did all this start, you might ask? Well, pretty much it started with a guy named Ray Boltz. I did a radio program on him back in 2008. Ray Boltz was a gospel singer, really nice guy, very talented, who had same-sex attraction for years. He was married, had 2 or 3 kids, came out with his family in 2004, and then came out publicly in 2008 when I did a radio show on it. Well, he got a lot of blowback from the evangelical community. They did not like the fact that the guy was gay singing gospel songs. Well, that has completely changed now. After he came out, other people who sang gospel songs are now hardcore supporters of Pride Month. For example, Dolly Parton. For example, Amy Grant. For example, Dan Reynolds from Imagine Dragons. For example, Dan Hasseltine from Jars of Clay. He's the front man. Patti LaBelle, Erica Mason. The group Plum recently won a Dove Award. They are promoting Pride Month. Tonex promotes it. Thomas Dorsey, Rosetta Harp, James Cleveland, Sylvester, Yvette Flunder, DC Talk, Kevin Max, Derek Webb. He also went to the Dove Awards. He's a Christian gospel singer wearing a dress. Transvestitism, a blatant sin in Leviticus and in Numbers. Transvestitism is a sin. Men should not be wearing women's clothing and vice versa. Nowadays, Christian gospel singers have come out and admitted they were gay. And the church has no problem with it. The Lutherans, the Episcopals, the Methodists. It's unbelievable. Homosexuality is sweeping all over the church. It's engulfing it. And it won't be much longer until the United States initiates hate speech. And as soon as that happens, yours truly is going to get blown off the radio. I'll be gone in 60 seconds. As soon as that happens, they're going to get rid of all of us, because that verse I read to you in Romans chapter 1 will be in the future considered hate speech. Hate speech. And it'll be supported by the Christian community that I get taken off the air. Let me give you an example. Gospel singers who are gay and openly admit it: Jennifer Knapp, Semler, Flamey Grant, Trey Pearson, Larry Brooks, Nell Carter, Little Axe. These people admitted it. They were gay, admitted singing gospel songs. And only God knows how many gay gospel singers there are at Hillsong or Acts 29 or some of these huge, massive ministries. They've got to have gay people running all over the place on their worship teams. They're going to be everywhere. And the red flag is anybody who supports Pride Month, anyone who supports it, has lust demons, and they are deceived. As Paul said, it's a delusion. They're living in a delusion. It's a delusion. How does all this work? How did all this get started? What happened to Ray Boltz? Well, here's what happens. During childhood, periods of abuse or great disappointment, a spirit enters a child's body. It's called the demon of rejection. And that demon of a rejection later lets in lust demons into the child. And when they go through puberty, these demons morph the child's sexuality and their gender identity. They morph it so that the child suddenly starts to develop same-sex attraction. Okay? Quick example. Personal example. My granddaughter recently came out and told the family she was a lesbian. Okay? Well, that was a social media phenomenon. I knew she wasn't a lesbian, but she's now living with her girlfriend. Well, we knew she wasn't a lesbian because we were around when she was growing up. She had always been a heterosexual. She was always attracted to boys. She had boyfriends because she wanted them, and she liked boys. And then later on, through social media or other means, which I'm not familiar with, she didn't give me that much information, my granddaughter came out as a lesbian last month. And I know it's a delusion, and I know it's not real. But it's caused by demons. Somehow, some way, her father was abusive, emotionally and mentally abusive. Somehow, some way, these lust demons got into my granddaughter and morphed her sexuality, and she now is attracted to females. And this is what's happened to all these gospel singers. Something happened to them, and this spirit got into their body and started to morph their sexuality and gave them desires they really didn't want to have. For example, Ray Boltz really didn't want to be gay, and the fact that he had to hide it all those years caused him an enormous level of depression and stress. Well, your conscience is telling you that, hey, you're not gay, you're not trans. You were born a male, and biologically you're a male, and that cannot be changed. That's impossible. It's impossible to change it. We now know for a fact that if you do an autopsy on a body that's 1,000 years old, you can tell if that body is a male or a female. Chromosomal manifestations cannot be changed by cutting off your genitals or other cosmetic modifications. That cannot happen. And this insanity of trans is now sweeping the country, and the people who are going to pay the price for it are heterosexual females. The trans females are going to move in and take over sports, social media, and they're going to move the women out. They're going to butt them out like a ram. They're going to go out the door. And there's nothing the women, heterosexual women, is going to be able to do about it, because politically and the government and our society has now fallen into this delusion. Romans chapter 1, verse 27. It's a delusion. Plane. A delusion in their minds. Now, my granddaughter is now involved in it. Of course, I'm praying for her every day. God will come through for me, no question. But this is how it happens. Through social media, through societal pressure, these spirits enter the body through abuse, through great disappointment, and morph the child's sexuality, and then they become something they never ever thought they could become. If that's happening to your family, deliverance is the only answer. 602-636-5800. You cannot counsel this out. You cannot train it out. Come for help now.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership. This program was sponsored by Michael W. Smith.